Hello and welcome to this video. My name is David Thorne. In this video we're going to be talking all about how we can extend a string to go and fetch all of the users from the JSON placeholder API and then just basically just complete this one code. So once we do have all of these users, they're going to populate self.items and they're going to list these all out, and that's the only view code that we want to have here. Super simple. We have our user, it's codable, it's identifiable, it completes everything. So the only code that we need to write now is the JSON placeholder file. So let's just go ahead and write this code first of all right? And JSON placeholder here, and this is going to be an enum, and it's going to be a string as well. And in here we're going to say users, and we could say posts, and we could say albums, etc. So this is what it would be able to handle. Now we know that we're getting an error already because it doesn't have this fetch all function, right? So let's just do this fetch all function just to make it happy, and then say async, and it's going to return, in this sense, it's going to return an array of users. So just to make it simple, we can see now that it's all working perfectly fine. We wait for Xcode to populate it. Happy days, the compiler is working, and we can build it just to show you that it's all working once again. Build 26 of 42, and when it's finished, we're going to see build succeeded. Happy days, we know the code's working. It's completely useless, but we know the code is working. Before we continue, let's just have a look at the JSON placeholder endpoints here, and you can see users. We've got then this information, this ID, name, username, email, etc. So this is the URL that we're going to be using to do the requests. So let's just come here and basically create the URL first of all, and we can say string, and this is what we want. And then we do this, all right? But what I want this to be able to do is to say, hey, I want to extend string, all right? And I want to say here, this is the thing that I want, right? And I want to say fetch all on this, okay? And this is exactly what I want. So now we're going to have to extend string, okay? And we now need to add this fetch all function. This fetch all function, and this too needs to be an async function. And we're going to then move this over here, and now we're going to return a empty array, and we wait for everything to build. Build succeeded. We've now passed the responsibility on even further. However, we can now, inside of this, we can say here raw value, because we know, well, actually, if we just say switch, yeah, okay, it's in this sense, it's all, we're hard coding users in, so we're going to have to say, we're going to leave this out, right, because it's causing a bug here. Is that you could be saying posts, and it could fetch users instead. All right, so we're just going to assume that this is just based upon, yeah, okay, you understand what I mean. So now that we have all of this, we're now going to have to create a URL at least, all right? And from here, we're going to say string, we're going to create a URL based upon itself. And we're going to need to use a guard statement for this, because it can be that this string is not formatted correctly, all right? And if it is not formatted correctly, we're just going to return an empty array to say, hey, no, we're not going to accept this. The next thing we want to do is come to URL session and say shared and data task, and we say from URL. So we now have the URL, and we want to then take then the data and then also the response here, and we're going to say await for this, and we need to try this as well. And now obviously we need to handle this response. Okay, so let's put it in a do catch block. We don't care about the error, all right, because we're just going to turn an empty array. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's our default thing, is to return an array. Okay. Next thing we want to do is we want to take a decoder. So let's create JSON decoder, and from here we can say basically try once again, decoder decode. We know the type that we want. We want user, and we can then say self by spelling correctly, and then say data here, and we are all happy, right? We don't care about the error, so we can let this try here. When if it throws, it comes into this anyway, all right? So we don't have to wrap this in its own. Don't have to wrap it within its own do catch block. However, we want to check the response, all right? Because it might be that this response is not very good. However, the decoder will throw anyway. But just to be safe, we're going to say here HTTP response is equal to response as and HTTP URL response, else return empty an array as well. And then here we're going to say HTTP response status code is equal to 200. So if it's not, we're going to return an empty array anyway. However, in all fairness, this try catch block, this try would catch that anyway, all right? But now we are definitely being safe. So now what's going to be quite funny is if we come over to here, this should now, I'm guessing, work. And there it is, it works, all right? Otherwise, let's just do a little bit of alignment and then leading and delete this once again. And it does it again. And now you can see that we have literally just taken JSON placeholder.users fetch all, and we are working, all right? So, but the question is now is that how could we convert this to be even better? Well, we want to be able to have like posts as well. So fetch all posts. So we need to work out here potentially what we are going to return, all right? So we're going to have to say fetch all users and fetch all posts, and this would then come to posts here. But fetch all is specific to users at the moment, right? So we could just move this out to be decodable here, and just say T here, and we move this T down to there. And we're all fine with this. We don't have a post, so let's just quickly create a post of Codable and identifiable. And whoops, let's just create this, and ID is int, and it's just going to have a title of string, and so on. So now you can see it's happy. It's now happy for this. Okay, the posts and the users still hard coded, but we're going to ignore that for the time being, but we can't ignore that there. So let's now come back over to our view. Let's say post here. Let's say posts here, and we can say fetch all posts instead. And let's just say ID, for example, and then say title. And yeah, we're just going to turn this into a string instead. And when we let this run, we should now get a list of all of the posts, and you see we do. So we're super happy. You can see how it's so easy now to turn a string, right? A string into a string into an array. And we've now made an extension on the string that basically just fetches a decodable. All right. Now let's just test this, because we used the just to be clear, the posts here before, and let's now come to our file, and let's just put a letter inside of it. So we should now see that the code will still run, but it just doesn't display any posts anymore, because we know that our code here stopped is somewhere inside of this, because it would have stopped here actually because of the status code. All right. However, if we would now just remove all of this rubbish and take away this here and put a pipe there as well, we can see that it would still work, because it's now not a valid URL. So we know that we've handled this in basically every sense, and we've now extracted all of the business logic. And now this is super declarative. You know, this one view is basically saying, hey, fetch all posts and so on. So you could also come here and make this, for example, a static function instead, and come back down here, and we could remove that there. And now you've got JSON placeholder fetch all posts. And when we come back to here and put the URL in correct once again and replace that, we need to remove that there. And now come back to the view and let it re-display or recompile, and we can see it's all working once again. So this is how you can use extensions, specifically in this sense, with strings, to be able to generate super generic reusable code. And it's all about writing as little code as possible in the view, so it's completely understandable and declarative. And that's the whole idea of Swift UI, and that's the whole idea of generics as well. Now, with that said, I hope that you got something out of this video. If you've not used Swift UI before, this should now give you an introduction to how easy Swift UI is and how declarative it is. And we need to continue this on to be able to write very declarative code. You can see here we got down to line 47, and we managed to display all of this information super easy. And even one of them contains the post struct here. With that said, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and do all of the other social media things that you can do to the video. And if you do have any questions, feedback, or concerns, let's start, as always, a conversation in the comment section down below. My name's David Thorne. Thank you very much for watching this one video. Thank you very much for supporting my channel. I do this for you, and I do this for you only. Hopefully, this video will inspire you to become a Swift developer, but a very competent Swift developer, knowing when and why to use generics, when and why to use extensions, and always try and write the most cleanest, optimal code as possible. With that said, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao, and goodbye.